My MIL attacked me at 8 months pregnant because we're having another girl. My mother-in-law, Linda, had always been particular about our family. From the moment I married her son Marcus 3 years ago, she made it clear that she had expectations. She never said them out loud, but I felt them in every look, every comment, every visit to their house. When I got pregnant with our first child, Linda became obsessed with the baby. She called every single day asking about symptoms, cravings, appointments. She bought furniture for the nursery without asking us first. She signed us up for parenting classes and mailed me prenatal vitamins with handwritten notes about proper nutrition. At first I thought it was sweet, overbearing, but sweet. Then we found out we were having a girl. The phone calls stopped. The visits became shorter. When our daughter Emma was born, Linda held her for exactly 2 minutes before handing her back and saying she looked tired. She didn't visit the hospital again. For 2 years, Linda barely acknowledged Emma existed. Birthday cards arrived late with generic messages. Christmas gifts were clearly last-minute purchases. At family dinners, she'd walk right past Emma to greet everyone else first. I mentioned it to Marcus, but he said his mom had always been distant and I was reading too much into it. He said she just wasn't a baby person and would warm up when Emma got older. Then I got pregnant again, and everything changed overnight. Linda showed up at our house with homemade soup and flowers the day after we announced it. She started calling again, asking about every doctor's appointment, every ultrasound. She bought a crib for her house, saying the baby would need somewhere to sleep during visits. The attention was intense, but I tried to appreciate it. Maybe Marcus was right. Maybe she'd warmed up. Maybe things would be different this time. But then I started noticing things. When Linda visited, she'd put her hand on my belly and whisper things I couldn't quite hear. She brought over boxes of baby clothes, but they were all blue. Every single item. When I mentioned we didn't know the gender yet, she smiled and said she had a feeling. She started asking strange questions about my family history, whether anyone had fertility issues, how many boys versus girls were born on my side. She wrote everything down in a little notebook she carried everywhere. At my baby shower, Linda gave a toast that made everyone uncomfortable. She talked about legacy and carrying on the family name and how important sons were to continuing traditions. My friends exchanged looks while I tried to laugh it off. Then she asked Marcus to come over alone one weekend. He was gone for 6 hours and came back quiet. When I asked what they talked about, he said it was nothing important. But that night I heard him on the phone with her, speaking in hushed tones about options and timing and whether it was too late. I found the papers in his nightstand 2 weeks later, printouts about gender selection and clinics that offered testing. One page was highlighted with Linda's handwriting in the margins. I was 7 months pregnant when we went in for a routine ultrasound. The technician confirmed what our earlier test had suggested. We were having another girl. I was happy. Marcus said he was happy. But when he called his mother from the parking lot, I heard her voice through the phone. Not words exactly, but a sound I'd never heard from her before. Low and cold and wrong. The dinner invitation came 3 days later. Linda wanted us over for a family meal to celebrate the pregnancy. Just us, she said. Something intimate before the baby arrived. That night at her house, something felt different. She kept refilling my water glass. She watched me eat with an intensity that made my skin crawl. Halfway through dinner, she sent Marcus downstairs to grab wine from the basement. The moment he was gone, she leaned across the table and grabbed my wrist. Hard. Her voice was barely a whisper. She said Marcus was her only son, that their family name went back 5 generations, that she'd spent her whole life waiting for a grandson to carry on what her husband's family had built. I tried to pull away, but her grip tightened. She said she knew someone who could help, a doctor who could make sure the next pregnancy went differently, that this baby, this girl, didn't have to happen if I understood what was really at stake. I told her she was crazy, that I was calling Marcus, that we were leaving. That's when she stood up and grabbed the ceramic vase from the center of the table, and what she did next put me in the hospital for 3 days. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below. I feel a sharp explosion of pain, and then nothing. When I come to, I'm staring at the ceiling of an ambulance. There's a neck brace restricting my movement, and a paramedic with kind eyes is hovering over me, speaking words I can't quite process. The bright lights hurt my eyes. My head throbs with each heartbeat. The baby, I managed to whisper, my hand instinctively moving to my swollen belly. My baby. We're monitoring the heartbeat, the paramedic assures me, gently moving my hand to show me a strap across my abdomen. Baby's holding steady. You're both going to be okay. Images flash through my mind in disjointed fragments. Linda's face, twisted with rage. The ceramic vase, raised above her head. Marcus's voice, shouting from the basement stairs. The sound of the vase connecting with my skull. The warm wetness of blood trickling down my face. Marcus, I mumble, trying to look around despite the cervical collar. Your husband is following in his car, the paramedic explains. He'll meet us at the hospital. The ambulance sways as we round a corner, and nausea rises in my throat. I close my eyes against the sensation, fighting to stay conscious. I need to protect my baby, our little girl. At the hospital, everything happens in a blur. Doctors in scrubs, ultrasound wand pressed against my belly, the reassuring sound of my daughter's heartbeat filling the room, nurses cleaning the wound on my head, asking me questions to test my cognition. How many fingers am I holding up? What day is it? Who's the president? I answer mechanically while scanning the room for Marcus. When he finally appears in the doorway, his face is ashen. He rushes to my side, taking my hand in his. I'm so sorry, he whispers, voice breaking. I should never have left you alone with her. I should have known. I squeeze his hand weakly. The baby? She's okay, he says, placing his palm gently on my belly. They said her vitals are strong. A doctor with silver-streaked hair enters the room, holding a tablet. Mrs. Davis, we're going to need to keep you overnight for observation. You have a concussion and required 7 stitches, but thankfully there's no skull fracture. The baby's heartbeat is strong and regular, which is excellent news. I nod carefully, mindful of the throbbing pain. Where is she? I ask Marcus once the doctor leaves. Where's Linda? His expression hardens, jaw clenching tight. Security escorted her out. She was still ranting when I found you, bleeding on the floor. He swallows hard. She kept saying it was for the best, that the family needed a grandson, not another worthless girl. Tears burn in my eyes. She tried to kill our baby. I know, Marcus whispers, and I see something break inside him. The last remnants of the dutiful son, shattered by his mother's unforgivable act. The police are on their way to take your statement. As if if summoned by his words, two officers appear at the door. One is a woman with short dark hair and watchful eyes. She introduces herself as Officer Chen. Her partner, a tall man with a receding hairline, is Officer Dawson. They ask me to walk them through what happened. I tell them everything: the dinner invitation, Linda sending Marcus to the basement, her grip on my wrist, her horrifying suggestion about fixing the pregnancy, the vase coming down on my head. She specifically mentioned wanting you to terminate this pregnancy because the baby is female, Officer Chen asks, making notes. Yes, I confirm. She said she knew a doctor who could help make sure the next pregnancy went differently, that this baby didn't have to happen. Marcus paces at the foot of the bed, running his hands through his hair. I can't believe this. My own mother. Mr. Davis, Officer Dawson says. Did you witness the assault? No, Marcus admits. I was in the basement. She sent me down for wine. When I heard the crash, I ran upstairs and found my wife unconscious on the floor, bleeding from her head. My mother was standing over her with the broken vase still in her hand. And what did your mother say at that point? Marcus's voice is hollow when he answers. She said, it's better this way. We can't have another girl. The Davis name needs a proper heir. The officers exchange glances. We'll need to take formal statements from both of you, Officer Chen says, and we'll be arresting Mrs. Linda Davis for assault. While the police continue their questions, Marcus steps out to call Emma's babysitter. I hear fragments of his conversation: apologies for the late hour, brief explanation about an emergency, request for her to stay overnight with Emma. My heart aches thinking of our little girl. What if Linda had hurt her too? After the police leave, a woman in a navy blazer enters my room. She introduces herself as Vanessa Torres, a hospital social worker. Her eyes are kind but professional as she pulls a chair up to my bedside. Mrs. Davis, I understand you're 8 months pregnant and have a 2-year-old daughter at home, she says, consulting her notes. I'd like to discuss a safety plan for when you're discharged. A safety plan? I repeat, feeling overwhelmed. Yes, given the circumstances of your assault and the fact that your attacker is a family member who has expressed hostility toward your unborn child, we need to ensure you and your children will be safe at home. Marcus sits beside me, taking my hand. We'll get a restraining order, he says firmly, and my mother will never set foot in our house again. The social worker nods approvingly. That's a good start. I also recommend changing your locks, screening your calls, and documenting any attempts she makes to contact you. As she outlines more safety measures, the reality of our situation sinks in. My mother-in-law, the grandmother of my children, attacked me because she couldn't accept having another granddaughter. The woman who should have loved and protected our family tried to destroy it instead. I place my hand protectively over my belly, feeling my daughter move beneath my palm. She'll never hurt you, I whisper. I promise. I'm discharged from the hospital on the 3rd day, my head still throbbing beneath a bandage covering 7 stitches. The doctor hands me a sheet of monitoring instructions. Watch for dizziness, avoid sudden movements, call immediately if I experience severe headaches or vision changes. There's a separate sheet about monitoring the baby's movements, counting kicks, and warning signs that would require immediate medical attention. Marcus holds my arm as we walk slowly to the car. His face is haggard, like he's aged years in 3 days. He hasn't left my side except to make necessary calls and arrange for Emma's care. I moved all of her things out while you were sleeping yesterday, he says quietly as he helps me into the passenger seat. Anything she ever left at our house, clothes, toiletries, that box of photo albums, it's all gone. I dropped it at my dad's place. I nod, wincing at the pain the small movement causes. Has she tried to contact you? Marcus's knuckles whiten on the steering wheel. 17 calls since yesterday. I haven't answered. She's left voicemails. What did she say? He hesitates, eyes fixed on the road. You don't need to hear that right now. Marcus, please. I need to know what we're dealing with. He pulls into a gas station parking lot and takes out his phone. After a moment of scrolling, he hands it to me. Linda's voice fills the car, eerily calm. Marcus, you're making a terrible mistake. That baby needs to be examined by a specialist. I've made an appointment with Dr. Feldman. He's very discreet about these matters. Call me back immediately. The next message is less controlled. This family has maintained its legacy for 5 generations. Your father understands what's at stake, even if you don't. That woman is poisoning your mind against your own blood. The third message makes my blood run cold. The baby can still be saved. There are procedures completely safe for the right kind of child. If you won't think of your family name, at least think of her. She'll never fit in. She'll always be wrong. I'm trying to spare her that pain. I hand the phone back, feeling nauseated. She's delusional. I know, Marcus says quietly. I've contacted a lawyer about a restraining order. The police are building their case for assault charges. When we arrive home, Emma's babysitter Jen meets us at the door. Emma balanced on her hip. Our daughter's face lights up when she sees us, but then her small brow furrows at the bandage on my head. Mommy owie? She asks, reaching toward me. I take her carefully, mindful of my balance. Yes, baby. Mommy has an owie, but I'm getting better. Later that night, after Emma is asleep, Marcus's father arrives. Richard Davis is a tall man with the same dark eyes as his son, though his are shadowed with something I can't quite identify. Guilt, perhaps. I should have warned you, he says, sitting heavily on our couch. Linda's obsession with male heirs isn't new. It started when Marcus was born. Marcus sits forward. What do you mean? Richard sighs. She was convinced our second child would be a daughter, had the nursery painted pink, bought dresses. When the ultrasound showed another boy, she was disappointed. But when Marcus's brother died of SIDS at 3 months old, something broke in her. She became fixated on Marcus as the only hope for continuing the family line. I feel cold despite the warm room. She never mentioned Marcus had a brother. She erased him, Richard says quietly. Packed away every photo, every toy, every piece of clothing. Forbade me from speaking his name. Said he was defective. That's why he died. That only the worthy survive. Marcus's face has gone pale. Dad, why didn't you ever tell me this? I was weak, Richard admits, looking down at his hands. I thought her grief had taken a strange form, that she'd heal eventually. By the time I realized how deep the delusion went, she had such control over our lives that I couldn't see a way out. That night, Emma wakes up crying from a nightmare. I rock her gently, asking what scared her. Mean grandma, she whimpers, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Mean grandma hurt mommy. I hold her closer, heartbreaking that even my 2-year-old understands what happened. Mean Grandma won't come back, baby. Daddy and I won't let her hurt us anymore. The next day, the police call to tell us they've issued a temporary restraining order against Linda. She's not allowed within 500 feet of our home, my workplace, Emma's daycare, or my doctor's office. The officer explains the process for making it permanent, and I feel a small measure of relief. That relief evaporates 3 days later when Marcus calls me from upstairs, his voice tight with controlled panic. Babe, come here. Now. I find him standing in the doorway of what will be the baby's nursery. The room we deliberately left gender neutral with soft yellow walls and woodland creatures stenciled along the border. The crib sheets have been changed to blue. A mobile with tiny baseball gloves and footballs hangs where our rainbow one used to be. The dresser drawers stand open, filled with blue onesies and tiny pants. I was just checking to see if we needed to wash the new crib sheets, Marcus says, voice hollow. She's been in our house. We call the police immediately. They dust for fingerprints and confirm the back door lock has been tampered with. The officer asks if anything else is missing or disturbed, but we find nothing except the nursery changes. She's fixated on the baby. I whisper to Marcus that night as we lie in bed, unable to sleep. Not on hurting me, not on hurting you, just on making sure this baby is a boy. The next day, a package arrives. No return address, but the handwriting on the label is unmistakably Linda's. Inside are more blue baby clothes, a silver rattle engraved with Davis, and a note. Nature can be corrected. Call me. Marcus's sister Claire visits us the following weekend. She lives 3 states away and has kept minimal contact with the family for years. Now I understand why. She did the same thing to me, Claire explains, cradling a mug of tea. I was never good enough because I couldn't carry on the precious Davis name. When I had my daughter 5 years ago, Mom sent me a book about gender disappointment instead of a congratulations card. After Linda damages our car, slashing the tires and scratching boy into the paint, we install security cameras around the entire property. The restraining order seems to mean nothing to her. She won't stop, I tell Marcus as we watch the security company finish the installation. She genuinely believes she's saving this baby from something. Marcus puts his arm around me, hand resting protectively on my belly where our daughter kicks steadily. We'll stop her, he promises. Whatever it takes. But that night, as I lie awake listening to the new security system beep softly with each perimeter check, I wonder if anything can stop a delusion this powerful. The appointment was supposed to be routine, just a checkup to make sure the baby was developing properly after the trauma. Marcus holds my hand as we walk through the hospital parking lot, his eyes constantly scanning our surroundings. The security cameras at home make me feel safer, but out here in public, the restraining order feels like nothing but a piece of paper. I'll be right beside you the whole time, Marcus promises as we approach the entrance. The waiting room is half full when we arrive. I sign in and take a seat, one hand resting protectively over my belly. 8 months pregnant now, and every day brings us closer to meeting our daughter if we can keep her safe until then. I'm flipping through a parenting magazine when the door to the waiting room opens. My blood turns to ice. Linda stands in the doorway, her eyes locking onto mine immediately. She's wearing a blue blazer with a silk scarf, looking every bit the respectable grandmother except for the wild look in her eyes. There you are, she says, as if we'd planned to meet. I've been trying to reach you. Marcus is on his feet instantly. Mom, you need to leave. You're violating the restraining order. She ignores him, walking straight toward me. I found him, she says urgently. The doctor I told you about. He specializes in these situations. He can fix this, make sure the baby develops properly. A nurse behind the reception desk notices the commotion and picks up the phone. I press myself back into the chair, heart hammering. Linda, you need to leave, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. The police are already on their way. You don't understand, she insists, her voice rising. This isn't about what I want. It's about what's best for the baby, for the family. A Davis son needs to carry on the name. Marcus positions himself between us. Mom, this is insane. We're having a daughter, a healthy baby girl. There's nothing to fix. Linda's face contorts with frustration. That's what they want you to believe. These ultrasound technicians, they're part of the feminist agenda. They're lying to you. Security arrives before the police. 2 uniformed men who flank Linda on either side. Ma'am, you need to come with us. You're making a terrible mistake, she says as they escort her out, her voice echoing down the hallway. That baby is a boy. I know it. The family needs a son. The police arrive minutes later, taking statements from everyone in the waiting room who witnessed the incident. My hands won't stop shaking, even after they assure us Linda has been taken into custody for violating the restraining order. The doctor's appointment is a blur after that. The baby's heartbeat is strong and steady, which the doctor says is remarkable considering the stress I've been under. She's resilient, he says with a smile, just like her mother. That evening, Richard Marcus's father comes over with dinner and an apology. I should have told you everything years ago, he says, sitting heavily on our couch. This isn't the first time Linda has fixated like this. Marcus sits forward. What do you mean? Richard sighs, running a hand through his thinning hair. When Claire was pregnant with her daughter, Linda tried something similar. She found some doctor who claimed he could influence the baby's gender through hormone injections. She actually made an appointment without Claire's knowledge, told her it was just a standard checkup. What happened? I ask. Claire figured it out when she saw the clinic's name on the paperwork. She cut off contact with Linda completely after that. That's why she moved so far away. Marcus paces the living room, his face a mask of disbelief and anger. How could you let this happen? How could you stay with someone who... I failed, Richard interrupts, his voice breaking. I failed you. I failed Claire. And I failed your brother. I thought I could protect you all by staying, by trying to manage her delusions. I was wrong. We go to bed early that night, both exhausted from the day's events. Marcus installs a new deadbolt on our bedroom door, just as a precaution, he says, but we both know it's more than that. The security system beeps quietly downstairs, a constant reminder of the threat lurking outside. I wake sometime in the middle of the night to the sound of breathing that isn't Marcus's. My eyes flutter open, adjusting to the darkness. Linda is standing at the foot of our bed. She's wearing a nightgown, her hair wild around her face. In her right hand, she holds a pair of scissors that gleam in the moonlight filtering through the blinds. I can't move, can't breathe, can't scream. She's muttering something under her breath, something about saving the baby, about fixing what's wrong. Marcus stirs beside me, sensing something amiss even in sleep. His eyes open, then widen in horror. Mom, he whispers, sitting up slowly. How did you get in here? I still have the spare key from when I watched Emma last year, she says, her voice eerily calm. I had to come. The baby was calling to me. He needs my help. Mom, put down the scissors, Marcus says, easing himself between Linda and me. Let's talk about this. There's nothing to talk about, she replies, taking a step closer. The doctor said we need to act now, before it's too late. Just a small incision. He showed me exactly where. It won't hurt the baby at all. It will save him. I find my voice at last, reaching for the panic button on the security system remote we keep by the bed. Linda, our baby is a girl. The ultrasound confirmed it. There's nothing wrong with her. Lies, she screams, lunging forward with the scissors raised. Marcus tackles her to the ground, the scissors flying from her hand and skittering across the hardwood floor. They struggle as I hit the panic button, setting off the alarm throughout the house. You're killing your son, Linda shrieks as Marcus pins her arms. You're letting her destroy our family's legacy. The police arrive within minutes, bursting through the door with guns drawn. Linda continues screaming about saving the baby, even as they handcuff her and lead her away. She needs help, Marcus says to the officer taking our statement. Real psychiatric help. The judge orders a psychiatric evaluation the next morning. 3 days later, we receive the diagnosis: delusional disorder with fixation on male lineage. The psychiatrist explains that Linda truly believes our baby is male and being somehow harmed or transformed against its will. In her mind, she's the rescuer, not the attacker. Will she get better? Marcus asks the doctor during a follow-up meeting. With medication and therapy, her symptoms can be managed, the psychiatrist explains. But delusional disorder is notoriously difficult to treat because patients rarely recognize their beliefs as delusions. Linda is placed on an extended psychiatric hold after she attacks a nurse who referred to our baby as she during a routine check. The nurse escapes with only minor scratches, but the incident confirms what we already know. Linda remains dangerous. Marcus carries the weight of guilt heavily on his shoulders. I should have seen it, he says one night as we lie in bed, his hand resting on my belly where our daughter kicks steadily. All those years, the way she treated Claire, the way she ignored Emma, I made excuses for her behavior instead of confronting it. You couldn't have known it would go this far, I tell him, though part of me wonders if there were signs we both missed. 2 weeks later, our friends throw us a rescheduled baby shower. The original one had been canceled after the attack, but our friend Jenna insists we deserve to celebrate this baby properly. The living room is decorated with pink and gold balloons, a stark contrast to the blue items Linda tried to force on us. Emma toddles around in a big sister t-shirt, proudly showing everyone her baby doll that she's practicing with. During the gift opening, Marcus's sister Claire presents us with a handmade quilt, each square embroidered with a different feminist icon. For my niece, she says, her eyes glistening, so she'll always know her worth isn't determined by her gender. I run my fingers over the intricate stitching, emotion welling in my throat. It's perfect, I manage to say. Later, when most guests have left, Claire pulls me aside. I should have warned you, she says quietly. I convinced myself she wouldn't do it again, that she wouldn't risk losing another child over her delusions. You couldn't have known. I echo the same words I told Marcus, but they sound hollow even to my ears. That night, as Marcus and I clean up the last of the baby shower decorations, I feel a strange tightening in my abdomen. Not quite painful, but noticeable. You okay? Marcus asks, noticing my hand pressed against my side. I think so, I say, but another tightening comes, stronger this time. Maybe we should call the doctor, just to be safe. As Marcus reaches for his phone, I feel a sudden rush of warmth between my legs. My water has broken, 2 weeks earlier than expected. It's time, I whisper, equal parts terrified and relieved. Soon our daughter will be here, finally safe in our arms, instead of vulnerable inside me. Marcus's eyes widen with realization. It's going to be okay, he says, helping me to the car. We're ready for this. She's ready for this. As another contraction builds, I close my eyes and focus on breathing. Despite everything Linda has done to harm us, she's failed. Our daughter is coming, and nothing can change who she is or how much we already love her. The contractions start at 2:17 a.m. I'm jolted awake by a tightening across my abdomen that feels different from the Braxton Hicks I've been having for weeks. This is stronger, more purposeful. Marcus, I whisper, reaching for him in the darkness. I think it's time. He's instantly alert, a skill he's developed since Linda's midnight appearance in our bedroom. Are you sure? You're only 38 weeks. Another contraction answers for me, making me grip his hand tight. The doctor said stress can trigger early labor. I'd say we qualify. Marcus helps me sit up, his face illuminated by the soft glow of our bedside lamp. The concern in his eyes mirrors my own. We're both thinking the same thing. 2 weeks early isn't dangerous, but after everything that's happened, any deviation from normal feels threatening. I'll call the hospital, he says, reaching for his phone, and I'll let my dad know he needs to come stay with Emma. As Marcus makes calls, I waddle to the bathroom, feeling the weight of our daughter shifting lower. The face in the mirror looks exhausted, dark circles under my eyes, the scar from Linda's vase attack still visible at my hairline. But there's something else there too, determination. We're almost there, little one, I whisper, placing my hand on my belly. Just a few more hours and you'll be safe in our arms. Richard arrives 20 minutes later, looking rumpled but alert. Emma doesn't even stir as we slip out the door, the security system beeping softly as Marcus sets it. I've updated the security company, Marcus tells me as we drive. They know to be extra vigilant tonight, and Dad knows not to let anyone in, no matter what. I nod, focusing on my breathing as another contraction builds. Do you think she knows? Linda, do you think she somehow knows I'm in labor? Marcus's hands tighten on the steering wheel. She's in a secured psychiatric facility. There's no way she could know. But we both remember how she appeared in our bedroom that night, scissors in hand, as if summoned by some primal instinct to save her grandson. The memory makes me shudder. At the hospital, everything moves quickly. The nurse checking me in glances at my file and her eyes widen slightly. You're the one with the... She trails off, looking embarrassed. The mother-in-law with the restraining order? I finish for her. Yes. Has there been any unusual activity tonight? Anyone asking about me? Security has been briefed on your situation, she assures me. No one gets on this floor without proper ID and clearance. Labor progresses faster than with Emma. By 6 a.m., I'm fully dilated and ready to push. Marcus hasn't left my side for a second, not even to use the bathroom. His eyes constantly scan the room, the doorway, the windows, as if expecting Linda to materialize from thin air. "You're doing amazing," he tells me, wiping sweat from my forehead. "She's almost here." The pain is overwhelming, but different from the trauma of Linda's attack. This pain has purpose, is creating something beautiful rather than destroying. "I see the head," the doctor announces. "One more big push, Mom." I gather every ounce of strength I have left, squeezing Marcus's hands so hard I might be breaking bones. With a final, primal scream, I feel our daughter slip from my body into the world. Her cry fills the room, strong and indignant. "Perfect. She's beautiful," Marcus whispers, tears streaming down his face. "Absolutely perfect." The nurse places her on my chest, this tiny, red-faced miracle with a shock of dark hair. I count her fingers and toes, examine every inch of her perfect little body. Despite everything Linda did to harm us, to harm her, our daughter is here and whole. "Olivia," I say, the name we'd chosen months ago, but kept private, afraid Linda would somehow use it against us. "Olivia Emma Davis." Marcus kisses my forehead, then Olivia's. "Welcome to the world, little fighter." The next few hours pass in a blur of skin-to-skin contact, first feedings, and visits from nurses. I don't sleep, can't sleep, too afraid to close my eyes even though rational thought tells me we're safe here. Around noon, there's a commotion in the hallway. Marcus tenses, moving to stand between the door and our bed where I'm cradling Olivia. A security guard appears in the doorway. "Mrs. Davis? Everything's fine, but I wanted to let you know, there was an incident at the front desk. A woman claiming to be the baby's grandmother tried to send up flowers. She wasn't on the approved visitor list, so she was escorted out." My blood runs cold. "Was it Linda Davis?" The guard shakes his head. "No, ma'am. We have her photo flagged in our system. This was an older woman. Said her name was Barbara Jenkins." I exhale slowly. "That's my mother. She must have flown in early. She wasn't supposed to come until next week." After the guard leaves, Marcus calls his father to check on Emma and confirm the security system hasn't registered any disturbances. "Everything is quiet at home. Maybe we're finally past the worst of it," I say, hopefully, as Olivia nurses contentedly. Marcus doesn't look convinced. "I got a call from the prosecutor while you were sleeping. Linda's attorney has filed a petition for her to have visitation rights with Olivia once she's released from the psychiatric facility." My arms tighten instinctively around our daughter. "She tried to kill me to prevent Olivia from being born. How could anyone think she should be allowed near her?" "The hearing is next month," Marcus says, sitting beside us on the bed. "Her doctor is testifying that her delusions were specifically about the pregnancy, not the baby herself, that now that Olivia is born female, Linda no longer poses a threat." "That's absurd," I whisper, looking down at Olivia's peaceful face. "She'll just find some new delusion to fixate on." 2 days later, we're cleared to go home. The nurse wheels me to the entrance while Marcus carries Olivia in her car seat, his eyes constantly scanning our surroundings. Richard meets us at the house with Emma, who's bouncing with excitement to meet her baby sister. "Gentle, sweetheart," I remind her as she peers into the car seat. She's very tiny. Emma's face lights up with wonder. "My baby," she says proudly, reaching out one finger to touch Olivia's hand. "My baby sister." The next few weeks are a blur of midnight feedings and diaper changes. Marcus takes extended leave from work, unwilling to leave us alone even for a few hours. The security system becomes a constant presence in our lives, beeping when doors open, cameras recording every approach to the house. The hearing about Linda's visitation request comes faster than we expected. The judge, a stern-looking woman with silver hair, listens patiently as Linda's attorney argues that her client has made significant progress in treatment and deserves to know her granddaughter. "Your Honor," the attorney says, "Mrs. Davis's delusions were specifically related to the gender of the unborn child. Now that the baby has been born and is confirmed female, the focus of her disorder has been removed. Her doctors report significant improvement." Our attorney presents the full history: Linda's rejection of Emma for being female, her escalating behavior during my pregnancy, the attack with the vase, the break-in with scissors. "This isn't about gender," he argues. "This is about control and a dangerous obsession with lineage that has already led to violence." The judge's ruling is unequivocal. The petition for visitation is denied. Mrs. Davis has demonstrated a pattern of behavior that poses a clear risk to both mother and child. The temporary restraining order is hereby made permanent. As we leave the courthouse, Marcus's father approaches us. He looks older somehow, shoulders stooped with the weight of decades of enabling Linda's behavior. "I want to apologize," he says, his voice breaking, "to both of you and to Emma and Olivia. I should have stopped this years ago. I should have protected Claire, protected Marcus. Instead, I convinced myself that keeping the peace was the same as keeping everyone safe." Marcus embraces his father. "The first time I've seen them truly connect since this nightmare began. We're breaking the cycle, Dad. It stops with us. When Olivia turns 1, we throw a small party in our backyard. Emma, now 3, helps her sister blow out the single candle on her cake. Marcus's sister Claire has flown in with her daughter, and the cousins play together on a blanket under the oak tree. There's no sign of Linda. The last we heard, she was still in the psychiatric facility, her delusions now focused on some new conspiracy involving the doctors who are keeping her from her rightful heir. The permanent restraining order ensures she can't come near any of us, even if she is eventually released. As I watch my daughters playing in the dappled sunlight, surrounded by people who truly love them for exactly who they are, I feel a sense of peace I haven't known in years. The scars remain: the faint line at my hairline, the way Marcus still checks the security system 3 times before bed, the way I sometimes wake in the night convinced someone is standing over us. But we survived. Our family survived. And in the end, that's the only legacy that matters.